Okay, so this is the project that's in progress today. Normally, I have two tanks here, and I had a manifold set up with PVC just to outlet to a garden hose. And then I used those two totes to fill that one, which was down at the garden. And then down at the garden, this tote had a garden hose fitting on it as well, and it emptied into uh, a bin like that, where I used a sump pump um, adapted to a garden hose, run off an inverter, a 12-volt battery, and a solar panel to water my garden. And it works okay. You just get really low pressure, and you're always mucking around with how much water you're letting out of the tote into the bin. You either have overflows or the sump float shuts off while you're watering the garden. So what I've done here is now I'm doing a 3-tote manifold. This manifold's come up here. This is where the rainwater comes in off my woodshed, which is a decent size. And then the house fills up that cistern, which is equivalent of, there's a hole cut in the side, unfortunately, but it holds the equivalent of 4 of these. So I'll use this one to fill these when I don't have water. And one of these lasts me about a week, I think, of watering the garden. So I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of garden watering with everything full. It's been a really wet summer, so I'm not really having to water the garden until yesterday. But I did get my hands on this pump. I've had this for about a year. It does work. It's a pool pump, I guess, for filtering a pool. And I'm going to try. It's almost 15 amps. It's like 13.8 amps. And it'll pump, hopefully, a ton more than the little sump, which I think is, I want to say it's 5 amps, but it's probably, 3.8 or 4.2 or something like that. And then I won't have to use the solar panels. It'll be close enough to the house to not have to use 12 extension cords. And anyway, this is all 2-inch with these little rubber connectors to make it really easy. And then it's necked down to 1.5, where I'm teeing it off. It's going to have a garden hose on this end, and it's going to come into the pump here. I'm going to I don't have the ball valve. I got to go get one. So it's going to have a ball valve here, so I can isolate the pump from the water system, and then the tap will be that end, and then I can always shut off individual tanks. So that's the project in progress. And yeah, this will get necked down. It'll come out, boop, 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 and we'll come into a barb that's 3/4 into the 3/4 black pipe, which is going to go down there and either be installed on the left side just for ease right now, or I might dig a small trench and come across to the right side, which is where the garden is. And then I'll have a garden hose tap there. So I don't know about this pump, how the pump's going to deal with being on for half an hour straight. I don't know if it's normally on a timer or what, and I don't know how it's going to deal with being necked down to 50% output, because we're going from 1.5 to 3/4. So I tried it just filling this up and holding the bung into there and holding it in, but it kept blowing my hand off. So hopefully I get lots of pressure down the garden and it works good and everything, but it's an experiment and we'll see. So I'll tie you back in when I'm done. Okay, so here it is, all hooked up. Everything's glued except for this pipe here. I didn't glue that just in case, like I didn't build a box for this pump, in which it should be covered, I think, out of the wet and off the ground, so that can change depending on the height of the pump, right? So that's temporary. And this will if this valve is on. So the reason why I have this valve is just so I can isolate the pump and still fill all the tanks. You know, whatever. I did it the way I did it. And all that, yeah, I did that the way I did that just because. And it works. The seal on this lid needs to be replaced. The O-ring needs to be replaced because that leaks. But it doesn't leak very much, especially when the water is on. So I've equalized the 3 tanks. I've used a bit of it, and I did save some water from dumping one of the tanks. So these will be mostly full when I'm done pumping the water back up. But and I need some kind of switch. Realistically, I need some kind of switch for this instead of plugging it in. And the pump doesn't sound good. I don't recall it sounding like that when I got it last year, but whatever, we'll run it as long as it runs. So here, I'll plug this bad boy in. This one tank is the only one that's on. So let's open this valve here. And you can see it leaks, but as soon as the pump starts, and yeah, here's, we get water there. And as soon as the pump starts, it leaks a lot less, especially when one of the things is open. See, it doesn't sound great, but I got all kinds of pressure. Tons of pressure. And my hookup up here is, it's all kind of rinky-dink. Things will change and the setup will change, but here's my rinky-dink setup up here. So I got quite a bit of pressure, a lot more than the sump pump. Some kind of gunk stuck in there. Anyway, that's the way that is, and yeah, that pump doesn't sound great. But we'll see. It'll run as long as it runs. Probably not good to let it run without the water on. You see, yeah, this doesn't sound good. Anyway. Oh! Whew. Just about bailed. Alright, there it is.